It's your boy OG Killa, straight out of Skyline Cashville, Skyline PIRU 80s gang. You're in there tuned in into sophisticated gangster.
You know what time it is, don't you? Shut up. Hello. Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to Sophisticated Gangster, the platform where we try to help those understand what's commonly misunderstood, and also show the commonalities of gangsterism in all aspects of life, whether that be the streets, business world, politics, entertainment, etc. Today we're tackling American street gangs. A lot of people tend to have negative preconceived notions of gang members due to the negative propaganda in media, but rarely do they try to understand why gang members think the way that they think and do the things that they do. So today we're going to scratch past the surface. We're going to dive into the story of OG Killa, an original Skyline PIRU, one of the best to ever do it. A guy that started from the bottom, rose through the ranks of the gang, and eventually became a leader of the Nashville underworld. After hearing his story, the things that he went through, the obstacles that he had to overcome, and his ultimate evolution to becoming a better man and an even greater father, maybe then you will come to the conclusion that you and the gang member aren't so different after all. So I'm going to pop this bottle of Hennessy open. We're going to get this dialogue started. OG Killa, what's up with you, homie?
Man, nah, shit, same old shit.
Let me pop this bottle of Hennessy open real quick, man. Get this drink going. We're going to start this dialogue, man. We're going to get to the bottom of some stuff today, you know?
Let's do it. Get all the way to the bottom of it. No secrets, no lies.
Do me a favor, homie. Start me off from the beginning. Tell me where you was born and where you grew up at.
I'm most definitely from the north side of Nashville. Salem Town. Land of the Lost. Blood City. We down there by ourselves. We at the bottom of North Nashville.
Tell me a little bit about your upbringing, like two-parent household, one-parent household, siblings.
One-parent household, me and my little brother, R.I.P., just died last year.
I feel that.
But yeah, my mama did, you know, we was regular household. You know, I ain't gonna say we was poor, but we wasn't rich. You feel me?
So you would say like a cross between middle America and poverty?
We most definitely under the middle. You feel me? But you wouldn't have never thought it. The way our mama worked her ass off to take care of us. You feel me? So, and seeing that is what drove us to get out there and get it on our home and hustle, because we didn't want to see our mama work so hard.
So would you say that's what initially introduced you to the streets?
Well, yeah, that and seeing it, growing up around it. That's all we seen on our block. Dope boys.
Around what years would you say like you initially made your introduction into the streets?
As far as, I'm going to say early, around 13, 14 years old. See, we started off stealing cars first, young.
But more specifically, like what years? Late 80s, early 90s?
That was like 93, 94. I was born in 80.
So give me a rundown on what Nashville was like in the early 90s.
Nashville was the shit in the early 90s. Everybody was rich. Wasn't nobody broke in the 90s. Dope was cheap. Who was in office in the 90s? Clinton.
And the Bushes.
And the Bushes.
I feel that.
It was plentiful. The 90s was lovely. That crack was just not hidden. Well, I ain't gonna say it was just not hidden, but it was hitting hard. Everybody was making money. If you was broke in the 90s, you wasn't no hustler.
So what was like some prominent names as far as the streets go wide in like the early 90s? Like just citywide, like not necessarily your particular area, but just citywide, some names you could ring off and people in that particular generation, like, yeah, he was one of them guys.
Oh man, I can't tell you their names or who they is, because I don't know what these people got going on. But on any side of town, you can go and find somebody from Nashville that was making the shake. Every side of town was getting money. That's what we known for. Our name is Cashville. Buck gave it, said it right. That's all we know is money. Money, cash, hold. Money is in there twice.
So more specifically with you, because you OG Killa, a prominent name here in Nashville. Who were some people you looked up to? Like as far as the streets go in the early 90s at a young age, teenager. Like who were some people you looked up to and said, I want to be like them guys? You don't got to say names specifically, but you know.
I looked up to Big Phil. I looked up to Big Pete, R.I.P., Africo, R.I.P. These guys was legends. They was getting money, the McQuitties. See, we seen people getting real money, and they used to give back. They used to give us. It was like our fathers without having a father. You feel me? Like you can go to these dudes and get anything. They wouldn't give you drugs, but they'd give you money.
Right.
You feel me? They'll buy you shoes. They'll buy you clothes. You feel me? So I want to be like that. They got all the cars.
Because that was the stuff you seen in your
They
child.
got all the women.
Right.
They got all the money. Who wouldn't want it?
That was your definition of success because that's what you saying.
That's all we seen.
I feel that.
You know, you come a product over your environment.
Most definitely. And I advocate that. I talk about that a lot. Like, people are a product of their environment for the most part.
Yeah, you're a product of your environment, but you can always think outside of it too. I ain't gonna say that that's a reason, but that be the main reason. Because here it is, your mama's barely making it, but he over here on the block making $1,000 a day. It take my mama 2 weeks to make that. I want to go make this $1,000 a day so I can go help my mama. And you feel me? So that was the motivation. Look good, dress good, smell good.
So lacking is what initially introduced you to the streets.
Of course.
So with that being your initial introduction into the streets, who or what was your influence into gang culture specifically? Because you eventually became one of the biggest Bloods in Nashville.
Well, you gotta, first and foremost, Bloods in Nashville. We wasn't the first Bloods in Nashville. It was already Bloods in Nashville. They was in West Nashville. But motherfuckers, you didn't know about it unless you was over in West Nashville.
Right.
You feel me?
I heard about it.
Yeah, it was some Bloods over there, but you wouldn't know. See, we grew up around G's.
Right.
G's was the first thing we ever knew. G's and Crips. That's all. That's what Nashville is a GD and a Crip city. You feel me? So we didn't know nothing about Bloods until I got introduced to the big homie T.I. when he came home.
This still early 90s, right?
Yeah, this is around 96.
Okay.
Yeah, 90. Yeah, this is around 96.
Closer towards the mid 90s.
Yeah,
all right.
Around the mid 90s when he come home. You feel me? We seen him. He a Blood, but we don't know nothing about no gangs. You feel me? He got the red rags on. He just in the neighborhood. He been gone for a long time, and that's how I got introduced to it.
Well, let me ask you
how
something.
it started is.
I know the T.I. story specifically is not your story to tell.
No.
But if you had to put a bridge there, what do you think T.I. specifically got the Blood, terminology from, or the gang culture specifically? Do you think it came from the media? Do you think it came from a tie that he possibly had to California?
No, see, I think he got it from prison, but when he brung it to us in a bogus way, which we didn't know at the time.
Right.
See, we was out here claiming something that we knew nothing about. You feel me? So
did he bring Blood, or did he bring the Skyline tag with it?
He brought the Skyline tag with it.
Okay.
He the one brought the Skyline tag with it. If he would have said he was tree top, we would have been trees.
Right.
If he would have said he was been Mountain Hunter, we'd have been Mountain Hunter.
Right.
This is what he brought with it. And I was the one that went and found the real knowledge of it. Met up with my nigga Lazy Root.
We're gonna get into that in a minute. We're gonna get into that in a minute. But let's stick to the early life. We're gonna get into that part though, because that's a real interesting and intricate part in your particular role that you played into the streets. Let's start with the beginning. How did you meet T.I.?
He was in our neighborhood. His mama lived on 6th Avenue in our neighborhood. She was the Freeze Cup lady. This is my homeboy granny. She raised us, everybody's mother in the neighborhood. And that was her son. He had been locked up for 25, 30 years almost, I don't know, for a murder. So when he came home, he was always down there. His mama lived there is where we hung at.
Right.
So that's how we got introduced to him. And we always out there drinking, smoking, hustling, doing what we do. But he was a Blood. But
right.
we in Salem Town. We didn't know nothing about no gangs. We wasn't doing that. We was just Salem Town. Let's
rock with that for a minute. In this particular time, in the mid to early 90s, we got Crips and we got GDs in your particular area.
Yeah.
We got a guy named T.I.
Yeah.
What made you specifically cling to him and what in his program and what he had going on? Was it something that happened between y'all two?
Yeah.
Or did he have a name already? What was it that linked you to him so strongly when you decided to go with his program?
So this is the reason that we are who we are today. Me and him was in the car riding, and we went to the liquor store. We went and got some Hennessy. Mm-hmm. So after we get the Hennessy, you got to understand, this man is a super Blood.
Right.
Super Blood.
I heard the story.
yeah,
right.
Super Blood, but You know, I was already young and wild at the time anyway. You feel me? I always carried a pistol.
Right.
You feel me? I was a hustler or whatever. But anyway.
Poverty introduced you to the streets.
Exactly.
So you was already outside.
I'm already outside.
Right,
I'm already dude. But I'm out. We were riding, went to the liquor store. We got a pint of Hennessy. He take the pint of Hennessy out the bag, wrap the red bandana around it. That's how we drinking it. You feel me? So we pull up in the
Did the red bandana intrigue you?
No.
It didn't mean nothing at the time.
I don't know nothing about gang life.
I got you.
This ain't nothing to us. We don't know nothing about this.
Right.
We ain't been. Only thing we know about is G's. You feel me? Because everybody around us was GD. But anyway, so we riding and we going through Cheatham projects. See, at the time, Cheatham and Salem Town was like this. We was always together.
Right.
We all hung together. We all went to school together. We was all friends.
Two particular areas in North Nashville.
Yes, sir. The only thing that separated us is a red light.
Right.
We always together. You feel me? So when we ride through Cheatham, which is GD in a Crip area, see my homegirl right there. We pull over to holler at her. Woo. I'm hitting the Hennessy. I pass it back to him. He hitting it. We passing it. One of the dudes holler out, "Hey, Bradford," that's what they called me at the time. He said, "Hey, Bradford, you know, we don't do that over here." I said, "Do what?" "That dead ass shit." "What you talking about?" "That bandana." "I don't know nothing about it. It's his bandana."
Right.
You feel me? So
you naive to what's going on right
yeah, because I don't really, but they up and they looking crazy. I'm like, but y'all know me. You feel me? And this is what made me clean to him. He took the Hennessy. He hit it, put the top on it. He said, "Y'all ready to die about that shit?" Pulled out his pistol. He said, "Man, you gonna go back to the neighborhood. I got this right here." He said, "Y'all ready to die about that shit?" And it was like he was standing up for me with, like he don't even know me like that.
Right.
But these supposed to be my guys. I went to school with him. So I'm like, I ain't going no motherfucking, I'm riding with you. Fuck them. You feel me? They up their guns. It's like 10 of them. He got one gun. And just so happened the police ended up coming down the hill like 6 cars deep. So we all struck out running. I'm running with the guys from Cheatham because I'm knowing where to go at. I'm from over around here. He holler out, "What you doing running with them? Come on." So I'm like, "Yeah, you right." And the start of a dynasty.
So if I could break it down specifically, it would be more of he's the minority right now. The fact that he was able to stand up to the majority without fear and stand up with you or what some would consider for you, like it gave you a sense of a bond with this dude.
It made me feel some type of way that they hated him so much for nothing. And
he didn't fear him.
And he didn't fear him.
Yeah.
And y'all was ready to go against me that quick. So I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show y'all what it is. So that's what I did.
So you said something interesting in the beginning. Although T.I. may have been the introduction to the particular Skyline branch of the Bloods, he wasn't necessarily the first in the city.
No. Most definitely wasn't.
If you had to give a roll call, which you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? But if you had to say specifically based on what you know and the things you went through, what is the first generation Bloods? I mean, like because this is Nashville, this is California. Yeah. This is Tennessee. Yeah. This is Nashville. What is the first generation? The founders.
Well, the first
Bloods
that I knew,
PIRU specifically.
The first Bloods that I knew were from out west. Bruce Jr., Tie-Dye.
I like Bruce too. That's a good dude.
Good dude. Like these dudes, they the new Chris Newsom, them, like they always been Bloods. They was out west.
You think they predate T.I.?
I don't even know if they knew each other or not. I can't say. But you also had out east. You had Streisand. You had my other guy. I can't think. Jamie. You feel me? They was too, but I didn't see these guys. We was out north.
So it's safe to say, to an extent, that the different fractions of the Bloods came to Nashville through different channels at different times. It wasn't just one guy brought blood to Nashville. It was different people that brought it at different times, but around the same time.
Or some of these guys probably went to prison and got it out of prison. I don't know.
Right.
I just know how we was introduced to it.
Right.
And he come from prison with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything, you said we'll get off into that later, but he come from prison with it, and he gave us a whole lot of bogus information that we had to get right so we could stand on this like we're supposed to stand on.
Do you have any knowledge of
if even there was any gangs that preceded the Crips and the Bloods. And based on the things that I'm hearing now, it sounds like the Crips predate the Bloods here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Because your particular area was GDs and Crips.
Yeah.
So GDs and Crips came first, Bloods came later on down the line.
From where I grew up and understood. Yeah,
right.
We never seen Bloods out north.
Right.
I didn't know what a vice lord was until I damn near went to prison.
So it says the Bloods may predate the vice lords. Right, I got you. I got you.
Like when we first started banging, we had to bang against the G's and the Crips.
Right.
Because the G's, who was their rival? They ain't have no rival. There wasn't no vice lords in Nashville. So they had something called the A-ball. They threw up the C and the 4.
Right.
So they beefed against us. That's what made us so hard in the city, because we weren't backing down from nothing, and we was stepping on them.
Just out of curiosity, do you think that the initial beef between the Crips and the Bloods here in Nashville was due to the California rivalry, or was it more of a neighborhood thing in Nashville due to y'all geographical separation?
I think it was just a Nashville thing, because you got to understand, one of the hardest beefs in Nashville was my neighborhood in Cheatham. Same time in Cheatham.
I heard the stories.
And we just right across the street from each other.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? But if you go on down the street, you got the mafias, got the 9/8s. You got some G's. G's are spread out everywhere. You go on down, you got 23rd. That's all G's and Bloods. You go back this way, you got Dodge City, them the Hoovers. You feel me? So everything is out north where we at. We at the bottom of it. We just at the back of everything at the same time.
Would you consider yourself first generation?
Of course, most definitely.
So let's go with that for a minute. Was there ever an initiation process that you don't gotta answer this, but I'm just curious, was there ever an initiation, or was you just kind of more like inducted due to your street reputation at the time? Because it's still like the early to mid 90s, so Crips and Bloods is fairly new to the Tennessee area.
Yeah, it was an introduction process. It was something that T.I. made me do.
That's cool. And that's enough that needs to be said.
Exactly.
So there's an initiation process. So not only was there an initiation process, you're also first generation, which means you were one of the first. If not, of course, we weren't the first because you come up on a guy named T.I., but you were definitely amongst the first group of Bloods that set foot here in Nashville.
Yeah. And I turned it into like a Fortune 500 club.
Right, I got you. I
most definitely did that.
Let's get into that. When did, explain to me the process of little. Matter of fact, now let's get into your name. Did your name come initially, or did your name come from did it come down the line?
It came down the line.
Okay, we'll get into your name later then. When did you get to a point where, from the beginning, Killa, I'm a Blood day one, to a point where it's time to recruit?
Well,
let's make this gang bigger than what it is.
Well,
and why did you feel like it needed to be?
Well, first and foremost, recruiting started with the neighborhood. The neighborhood, I come from Same Town. We ain't nothing, so they see what's going on. Mm-hmm. We are together. I'm one of them. They me.
So it initially started as a neighborhood thing.
It's a neighborhood thing.
Right.
So everybody in Same Town is Bloods.
Right.
Well, I ain't gonna say everybody, but 80%.
For the most part.
It's
typically a Blood.
It's Blood in Same Town. So yeah, so people are hearing about us, and then you got to understand, back in these days, the Crips was hard on people.
Because they were the majority.
They the majority.
Right.
They was hard on people. So you had a whole lot of people, if they see us and they see us standing up, or it might be 5 of us and 20 of them, they see us out there fight, we respect that, we like that. Mm-hmm. You feel me? It ain't good to be feared. It's good to be loved. You feel me?
I agree.
You feel me? So
I agree.
And a lot of people had a whole lot of fear. You feel me? So I think that had a whole lot to do with the people in Nashville becoming Bloods. Mm-hmm. I think the music.
What music specifically would you say?
Well, you got to understand, Bloods really became popular, I feel like, in Nashville around from 2002 to 2004.
Sounds like the Lil Wayne era.
Lil Wayne.
Okay.
You got Lil Wayne.
We chopping it up, homie.
You got Gang.
Right.
You got Dipset.
Right.
You feel me? So,
it's a lot of nationwide Blood music
I
was
listening to Bloods and Crips banging on wax. See, a whole lot of these dudes don't even know the PIRU Love song. What's the PIRU Love song, bro? See, I had to learn that song before I got it put on.
You first generation, though. So it's different for you, yeah.
So, it's different. But, yeah, around that era, You know what I'm saying? Like, and we just got big, and I told them, I said, one day we go outnumber them. And
Did
we
they ever come?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like one time in Nashville, like, man, I done seen dudes from other sets throwing up bloods.
Right.
We deep in the club. We was hard out here.
You know, me and you go back a little ways, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of guys here from Nashville, from a lot of different sets. But one thing, even though that I know these guys and I talk to these guys, I have talked to these guys, one thing that's puzzling to me, although you would probably go as far as saying that there's probably 4 major sets in Nashville, don't change the fact that there's more than that. How do you specifically think like all these different sets came about in the city of Nashville? Do you think it's a media thing, or did guys specifically from California bring it, or did guys from Nashville go and take it, or go adopt it?
I think it really come from prison. In my opinion,
right?
I think it all come from prison. People going to prison, getting joined in gangs, and have to get proper. You know the process. You know the steps. You feel me? And people reach out.
But it's still a lot of different sets, though.
It's a lot of different sets in Nashville. It's a lot of different sets.
If you had to run down the major blood sets in Nashville, just on the blood tip, not the Crip tip, just the blood tip, like if you had to stop at like 5, give me the top 5 like major predominant blood sets here in Nashville.
Most definitely Skyline.
You got to come on now.
Most definitely
come on, man.
Skyline to keep trying.
We stop this interview if you let Skyline now.
Most definitely the trees.
The trees, got to put the trees.
The trees are deep here.
Mm-hmm.
You got 818s.
Yeah.
They out here.
I almost forgot about them.
No, don't never forget about 818.
Right.
2 P's and a B.
Come on now.
You feel me? You got the Hunters.
Got the Hunters. That's a big gang in Chattanooga too.
Man, you most definitely got the Hunters out here. Much love to the Hunters. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say the Park.
Athens?
Boys. Athens. They out here. They outside.
So let's move away from your early life. We kind of got a full rundown on how you got in the streets, how you got into gang banging. You're a gang banger now. You in the streets. Now let's get into, because we never, like we talked about it, but let's get into where did the name Killa come from? Listen to me. Leave out anything you want to. This is not DJ Vlad. Man, leave out anything you want to.
I'm just going to say this. The streets gave me the name Killa.
You didn't give yourself that name?
I didn't name myself Killa.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah, the streets gave me the name.
But I do want a timeline, though. Did Killa come in the 90s or the 2000s?
I'm going to say around 99, 2000.
99, 2000?
Yeah.
Now, you famously known for wearing the OG Killa chain that you don't particularly got on. I was hoping you wouldn't have changed today. But I wasn't going to tell you to do it, though.
I had that chain made in 2004.
2004?
Yeah.
And those are around some of your prominent years.
Yeah, that's when we was getting it. We was having a ball out here.
So, outside of your particular activity and certain things that you got involved in order to make money, we're going to talk about that. But let's get into your recruitment, though, because this is around the time where recruitment was heavy. I got 2 questions. Did majority of your recruitment come from people you previously recruited, or did you particularly put your hand deep into the recruitment yourself?
Well, when it came to the gang getting big, you got to understand, like, first it started with us at the same time.
Right.
And then then you got to understand there was a whole nother movement going on out east, on South 8 with the trees.
So trees don't come from North Nashville?
No, they come from out east.
So
South 8.
Before you continue, let me see if I can put a map together. Northern Nashville, Skyline.
Yeah. Eastern
Nashville, Treetop. Yeah. Western Nashville, I'm assuming will be full-blooded PIRU.
You had full-blooded and you had trees.
South Nashville is not really blood dominant right now.
I can't speak on right now.
Right. No, I'm talking about at that particular time.
At this time, out south was Crips.
Right.
Crips and G's.
So it's like we didn't already put together, like the Crips pretty much predate the Bloods.
Yeah.
Here in Nashville.
Most definitely.
Right.
In my opinion, yeah. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah, but see, when it came to us recruiting, you had you had the trees out east getting their numbers up. You
got a roll call for them, or do you not want to get into it?
Man, it's a lot of them.
As far as the reputables go.
It's a lot of them. You feel me? Some in the Fed, some on the streets, but they know they shout out to the trees from out east. All of them that was out there with me and OG Ray. Y'all know what's going on.
All right. That's all we need to know.
That's all y'all need to know.
Okay.
We was outside. If y'all was outside, they know.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? But when we linked up, you feel me? And they come to Salem Town. So it's like now we got somebody to feel how we feel. So
we have an ally.
We have, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have people that'll be like, man, my friend want to get put down. Or my cousin want to get put down. So you got to come to Salem Town to get put down.
Just curious though, out of the recruitment process, what does a guy have to either do or be in order for OG Killa to say he can be one of us?
Right now?
No, at that time.
Well, at that age of time, you know, we were just out here doing a whole lot of young, dumb, reckless shit.
So it was a number thing.
You feel me? And hold on, you had to sit right there and be able to fight this whole time. Whatever the clock was.
Right.
At the time, like I said, we was going through some bogus stages.
I got you.
At the time,
I'm with you. You know,
I ain't gonna sit right here and tell you no lie. Sometimes the clock was 31 seconds. Sometimes it was 51 seconds. We was out here.
Y'all doing what y'all wanted to do.
We was 5150 bloods, and we was a little bit of everything until a motherfucker got it to understand.
Right.
You feel?
We gonna get into the lazy rule because I wanna see how that tied in. But I'm rocking with you right now though.
But yeah, though. So like you had to get in there and you had to fight.
Right.
And that's what motherfuckers did, and you couldn't stop. And they weren't stopping. But see, most of these dudes had done been into it previously with either G's or Crips.
Well, see, that's what I want to ask you more about as far as the recruitment go, because like let's say we go back to California. Mm-hmm. A lot of the gang members in California was more adopted in due to the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you grew up in Rosecrans, you don't have the option to be a Crip.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But due to Nashville not being geographically aligned the way California is, it's more of an initiation process, right?
Exactly.
Right. So was it more of guys coming to you saying, I want to be a part of your program?
Yeah.
Or was it more of you saying, I need more people in my program?
Well, you know, no. I want to recruit. They was coming to me.
Okay.
OG, I want to get put on up under you. I want to ride with you in your clique. Mm-hmm. Or you had some, I want to ride with Ray and their clique because, well, my homeboys are from out here. Or
right.
My friends or my homeboys are from over here. So people was going with where they felt comfortable at. The majority
and there was a time where the blood
wanted to ride. Yeah, everybody wanted to be Killa Mob. Everybody wanted to be up under OG Killa. At one point in time. I can say that.
So, where would you say the hype, like as far as like y'all was at y'all most dominant as far as Nashville go, like around like what time and what was it that brought y'all to y'all heights? Because at one point in time, the Bloods was at a height in Nashville.
I'm gonna say around
for a person that's not from Nashville, like from afar,
yeah,
I could see the Bloods got something going on in Nashville right now. And it's a major thing.
2005.
What do you think it was, though?
I think it was first and foremost we had numbers. You got to understand we had the Bloods had numbers. We was damn near the same numbers as the Crips out here.
So y'all went from the majority to the equal.
Exactly.
Almost to the majority.
And every way. And if I'm lying, y'all can fact check me. You go to the club, Twilight Blood Club. You go to Level 88, all the Bloods. We in here deep. You feel me? Like. I wish I could have brought pictures I can show you. I got everybody throwing up the bees.
Right.
Everybody was a Blood. Everybody wanted to be a Blood, but you got to understand the music was a hell of an influence. Blood.
Lil Wayne,
you feel me?
Jim
Wayne,
Jones, right.
Dipset, you feel me? So the music was a lot of influence, but we was really outside. You feel me? Then you had Bloods started. Our numbers were getting so deep they started to act like the Crips. Bullying or because going against each other. It's right. Numbers. That's what numbers do.
We're going to get into that, though. But as far as the height goes, I want to ask something, and I know, like, if it's people who listen that's from this particular area, it's a few names they want to know about. Give me some prominent names that came from your line. Not necessarily your particular recruitment. But, like, let's say if you put a guy down that put another guy down that became a prominent name. Like, if you could give me some, because you're first generation, man, so majority of the guys come from
my whole line was hard. Look, first and foremost, you got OG Killa.
OG Killa.
You got Lil Tim.
Right.
You got Big Rick.
Big Rick.
You got B100.
Let's stop right there, because that's a name. B100.
Hunter was that nigga. Hunter was that nigga, man.
Give me a brief summary on B100. We're gonna move on from. I just want a brief summary of B100.
Hunter was the true definition of a gangster. Dude was a gangster, but he was cool as hell. You feel me? He get the shirt off his back, but he was a gangster. You feel me? Like he ain't gonna fight you. Don't put your hands on me. Don't disrespect me. He go fuck your bitch. Man, I miss Hunter, man. Hunter was a good dude, man. I love Hunter. Man, I was locked up when Hunter got killed.
It's a myth I heard about B100, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong.
What's that?
I heard one time that B100 wasn't the best with his hands. I heard he wasn't a good fighter.
Of course
but
not.
Of course he was a gangster. I heard at one particular time in y'all's history that you could be in the county jail with B100. You could get into it with B100. If you fight B100, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna win because he wasn't the greatest fighter. But I heard that the opposing gangs would make the person that fought B100 go back and apologize to him because he wouldn't forget you. And when y'all came on the streets together, he was gonna handle his business.
That's most definitely Hunter.
So that's not a rumor.
And he'll tell you, you can fight me, you can beat me up. When I get out, I'm gonna go get you. And they knew that, and they didn't fuck with Hunter. He was coming. He knew he was coming. Look at the mob, look at the lineup he had behind him. All the ones I just named. You had Lil T.O. Man, look at we got Worm, Lucian. Man, we had a mob behind us. And then you gotta understand, we're connected with the Bloods out east.
Right.
The trees, right near mob.
Some alliance now.
Man, they hold lines, all the trees stupid. All them stupid, man. We was stupid out here. Yeah,
So now that we got an understanding that we got prominent names in the game, this the early 2000s. We got prominent names in the game, and we got an alliance. But let's move into the obstacles now. Because, I mean, you can't stay on top forever.
Of course not.
So let's move into the obstacles. Now, you got a reign going on right now because you're first generation, you OG Killa, you got an army, you got an alliance with another army. Like, you got a good thing going. Good things don't last forever.
No, they don't.
So when and what brought it to a point where you had to come? Because I heard about the split between the Skylines.
Yeah, it was a split between the Skylines.
Right. We both know, but let's get into that though. Like,
you want to talk about it?
Of course.
The split.
What brought up on, because that's the biggest obstacle right now. What brought up on the split and how much did it affect you?
Well, the split was really.
And give me like a timeline as far as years wise to give the audience like a clear understanding of when we're talking about these things are happening.
So this, I'm gonna say this happened around 2002, maybe 2003.
Early 2000s.
Early 2000. So, as you know, T.I.'s the big homie.
Right.
You feel me? Well, he was doing a whole lot of bogus shit, in my opinion. You feel me? He was robbing homeboys in the neighborhood or making them get him shit. And
before you continue, I want to ask you, do you know if he had a connection to California?
No.
Because just to specify, the Skyline PIRUs do come from San Diego, California.
Of course.
Right. So we don't know if he had a connection to San. Okay. That's
No.
cool. Let's get back into it.
No, we don't know. I never knew if he had one.
Okay. That's cool.
My connection didn't come from him.
Right. It came from somebody we're going to get into later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, the split. So, anyway, he ended up getting locked up.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was getting locked up, I was the one putting this shit together.
Right.
You feel me?
You got a name by this time.
Exactly. So he ended up coming home. This was probably around 2002. He ended up coming home and everybody run up to me like, big homie, big homie. I'm like, nah, this the big homie.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't like it. So one time he had told, he had tried to tell one of the little homies like, I want you to go over there and do this and do this and do that. I'm like, hell no.
A tyrant.
Huh?
A tyrant.
A tyrant.
No, he was trying to be a tyrant, like a dictator.
Exactly.
Right.
He was really trying, I felt like he was trying to send him on a dummy mission.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So I'm like, hell no, don't do that dumbass shit. So, and they listened to me.
I'm curious though, did you have enough juice to go against him at the time? Or was you just taking it upon yourself like, no, this isn't right?
No, I ain't gonna say that I had the juice to go up against him. I've just always been that type of nigga. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
I feel that.
I don't give a fuck who you is.
That's cool.
The right is right, wrong, wrong. And I'm like, hell no,
Let's
bro.
get back into it.
So he seen that, and that happened a couple of times. So, fast forward, he ended up doing some shit to one of my homeboys.
Right.
in the neighborhood, and they put the police on him, and he wanted me to do something to him. I was like, but you was wrong. You robbed him. You done took his shit from him. I'm like, I ain't doing nothing to him. You shouldn't have did that. You feel me? So to make a long story short, he tried to go against me. He tried to turn everybody against me or whatever. So like I had a meeting because he ended up getting locked back up. He stayed in and out of jail.
So the split came from T.I.
Yeah, me and him, he was on some jealousy shit. He was on some, this my shit and y'all go listen to me or else. Right. Nah, we ain't listening to you. They listening to me. You feel me? Like, well, I'm not letting them do no dumb shit because, like, I feel like an OG, as an OG, you shouldn't tell nobody to do something that you wouldn't do.
I agree.
So why would you tell these people to go over here to do something that you ain't willing to go over here to do with them?
Right. You're a tyrant. You're a dictator. You're a bully.
I didn't agree with it. So
I got a question, though, before you continue. At this particular time when you decided to go against what one would consider the founder of Skyline PIRU, were you particularly considered an original gangster at this time, or was you just a guy that had a prominent name in the streets?
Look, T.I. told me when he got locked up, he said, "You the OG."
So you were considered an original gangster.
He said, "I'm not there. This is yours. You who they got to go through." So
the blood's on governor by California law. So I understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Right.
So he said, "You the OG." That's how I got my G.
Right.
And I try to explain people that like how they were trying to say, well, you gotta go through the ranks, right? No, I'm the G.
Right.
When gang said I was OG in the hood before I turned 22, I felt that.
You the leader of the gang. How can you not be?
Exactly.
I understand.
Like when Thomas I put this shit together, I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Right.
So anyway, you know what I'm saying, he ended up getting locked up, and I had a meeting. And I told him, I said, everybody knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, y'all know we into it. If you want to ride with me, that's cool. If you want to ride with him, I'm going to let you leave right now. But when I see you, you know what you got to do. And to give you an example, if it was 50 people in the game, only 15 of them stayed with me. The rest of them went with him. Because that's how much fear he had in people. He ain't nothing to play with.
I understand.
This man ain't no bitch at all.
He the real deal.
Yeah, right. He's the real deal.
You the real deal too, though.
Exactly. But I learned from him. Mm-hmm. But I was already that type of nigga. I ain't never been scared of nothing. You can go ask my homeboys, my real big homie, them Tutu, Kaboo, these niggas from the neighborhood that don't gangbang, that raised me insight one time. They'll tell you I was a fool before the gangs. I've been slanging iron.
I want to get you off script for a minute. 43rd. Did that particularly come from T.I. or did it come from somewhere else?
That came from somewhere else.
So T.I. didn't introduce 43rd. He just introduced Skyline.
He just introduced me to Skyline.
Where was 43rd integrated at? As far as y'all, you know.
When I first heard about 43rd, it was before I went to prison. And it was around 2008.
So this is still early 2000s.
Yeah.
Y'all had a lot going on in the 2000s.
Oh, yeah, it was a whole lot going on. we don't skip a whole lot of shit, but it was a lot going on. But with the 43rd shit, we never heard of 43rd until the dude named Face Mob came around.
Where did he come from, though? He was in jail, wasn't he?
I don't know. I told them when I first met him, it's something about this dude.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. The way he was talking, he had 43rd tatted on. He had 45th tatted on. I'm telling you, I never heard of this on Skyline.
Right.
Ever. Because you got to understand, by this time, I already know Mid Lazy and I already know the game.
Whoa. We skipped the part then.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I met Lazy in like 2002.
Just for clarity, Lazy is one of the only Skyline PIRUs that's actually from San Diego.
From Meadowbrook.
From Meadowbrook.
Yeah.
So you met and heard of Lazy before you actually heard of a 43rd.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because 43rd is it was a big thing.
Yeah. It wasn't in Nashville.
It was heavily in Chattanooga.
It wasn't in, but see, they got that shit from prison.
It came adopted though in Nashville.
It did at one point in time. But that was the reason. That was the reason for another split. When I got into it,
so it was multiple splits in Skyline.
Oh yeah.
As far as the Nashville factor goes.
Yeah. Because they tried to go against me when they met Face Mob.
Man, how was you able to go against all these obstacles in your own game?
Man, hey, only thing I can tell you, man, is ain't nobody straight. And you gotta have the heart of a lion. You can't be scared.
Man, you went through it, homie.
Yeah. On the streets and in prison. You was there. You seen it.
I was there. I seen it a lot.
You seen it, but you know, motherfuckers stand up.
I'm curious though, because I kind of jumped around a little bit, but let's get back on track. Did your obstacles with T.I. die down before your obstacles with 43rd came about, or did they kind of like mold? Like, was it around the same time?
Yeah, it was.
Did you have multiple fronts in your own game?
Yeah. It was going down like that.
How are you able to be alive to talk about this today?
You had T.I. and his Skyline, then you had OG Killa and his Skylines at first.
But none of this had nothing to do with 43rd though.
No, none of this had to do with 43rd. This had nothing to do.
This is a Nashville thing.
This is a Nashville thing. This was an in-house thing. This is two OGs going against each other, and
was it ever a resolution as far as T.I. and Killa go?
No.
So up to this day, there still hasn't been an official revolution.
No.
I mean, a resolution,
No.
but it's almost like an understood resolution though.
Well, I went to prison.
Right. Which put a halt on a lot of things.
Exactly. I went
Right.
10 years straight. So, but before that, yes, we were still actively into it, and I was slick beefing with some of the guys I named that were first generation. Some of them, we all got into it. Yeah, we got into it because of the 43rd shit, because they wanted to say Face Mob was the real deal because he went to prison. I hadn't been in prison at this time.
Right.
You feel me? So they felt like that him coming out of prison and him having it tatted, it had to be true. But I'm telling them, it's something ain't right about him. Like, y'all don't even know him. Like, but he ended up being a rat.
He did. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the 2010 indictment. But let's slow it down, though. Let's get a clear understanding. So we got a conflict with T.I., a guy who introduced you to the Blood Gang.
Mm-hmm.
43rd, which is a particular fraction of Skyline here in Tennessee that was misinformed to the Skylines here in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a wrench thrown in your program.
I ain't gonna say it hit us, like I said, when Face Mob came around. But my homeboys wasn't repping 43rd. Nah, we were Skyline PIRU, Avis Hanging Gang.
Even from the beginning?
From the beginning.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because 43rd is a big thing as far as the eastern part of the Skylines in Tennessee.
We wasn't banging no 43rd until he came around, and then they started saying they was 43rd.
How did you correct that?
I went to prison. See, I could correct it. So we ain't got into it. So I fell back from them. I'm like, I ain't fucking with y'all.
Right.
You feel me? Because
the 43rd fraction.
Yeah, because a whole lot of people homeboys that was with me, they went against me for him because they felt like he was right.
He convinced them that
he convinced them that he was the more proper one. But I'm telling them, it's something ain't right about him.
Do you know where he got his information from?
I later found out that he got it from prison. I later found out where he got it from T.O. and the prison situation or whatever. But at the time, no, I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. I'm already peeping. First and foremost, you get out, you come looking for OG Killa. Who the fuck are you? How you know who I am?
They looking for OG Killa.
Exactly. He's standing in Salem Town.
Right.
That's how I met this man.
Yeah,
he was standing on the block in Salem Town.
That's new to me.
I rolled down the street, seen him, busted another block, picked up the homie Lil Tim and some more homeboys. We bumped out. Hey, homeboy, who is you? Who you looking for? And that's how we met.
Right.
I'm OG Face Mob. I was sent out here by OG T.O. I'm looking for Killa, and that's how we got to talking. So as I'm talking to him, I'm already, something ain't right with him. So as time went on, like he had a whole lot of homeboys following him. He was up in Gallatin. They'd go to Gallatin and fuck with him.
Which is a part of the Nashville metropolitan, but it's not Nashville.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and he got to some of the homeboys. You feel me?
And he convinced them.
And he convinced them.
Another obstacle for you.
Exactly. So they were like, well, you ain't riding with us? Fuck you. I'm like, well, fuck you. You feel me? So we into it, and then in the midst of us getting into it, boom, I get locked up, and then boom, the feds come pick them up.
So that played right into the hands of the 2010 indictment.
Yeah.
How did that affect you particularly?
That indictment?
The 2010 blood indictment.
Shit, they came and got me. I was on the indictment, but I had a totally different case. I had a appeal case, but they was the reason that they picked me up on the indictment was because a lot of them niggas was saying my name and implicating me and shit that they don't even know
who
about.
You are. You're right.
Exactly.
It was more of just a name thing versus the actual criminality thing.
Because you got to understand, the whole time they was on the wiretap, I was into it with these guys. Mm-hmm. And it's in their paperwork. They got on there. They was talking bad about me, saying this and saying that. So
at that particular, you kind of looked up being more of an enemy to them than you actually were of ally. So you kind of it worked out more in your favor with you having a dispute with them.
Exactly.
Versus being.
And then when when the feds came and picked me up from prison, I was in the feds with these same guys.
Right.
And then they were. Man,
we was in the prison at the same time at the particular time.
We should have listened to you, OG. You was right, OG. We love you now, OG. I got a whole lot of that.
Right.
You feel me? Mother try to cross you, then they try to come back.
So would you say your biggest obstacles as far as like the gang life, as far as you specifically, was your rivalry with the guy who initially introduced you into the gang, and a new fracture of the gang being introduced as far as 43rd?
I don't know.
Or would you say your biggest obstacles were rivals as far as Crips?
My biggest obstacle, I'm going to say it had to be the beef I had with T.I. because it was first.
With the inner workings of the gang.
And then it was serious though. Mm-hmm. It was so serious because you had gangsters on both sides.
Right.
And when we see each other, it was going down. It was really what that is. Skyline, who your big homie? T.I. Yeah. Who your big homie? Killa. It was going down.
Right.
You feel me? So that, and then another obstacle is when the homeboys start going against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I ain't like it at all.
So with it being so many years down the line, the things you went through as far, before I get into, I'm gonna get into that, but before I get into it, I want to take a brief minute, if you're able to explain the difference of the dynamics in the structure of the gang culture in prison, because you did prison time, versus the streets. If you could elaborate on that for a second, then we'll get more into, get towards your ending and your height and your evolution.
Well, it's totally different from prison. Prison to the streets is totally different. First and foremost, in prison, you are obligated to ride with people that you would never ride with in your life.
Why?
Because they rep the same color you rep. If it was like,
that's understandable.
So basically, what I'm saying is, you can be a blood, and I don't have to know you or like you, but just because you're a blood, I got to ride with you because these dudes are finna try to kill you.
And that's a prison dynamic.
That's prison.
Right.
Well, out here, you don't have to go through that.
You have the option.
You have the option. I don't have to fuck with you if I don't want to fuck with you. And it's different. It's rules and regulations in prison. Out here, it's just, it is what it is.
So, is it safe to say that the streets is more of a free-for-all, wild, wild west, and the prison dynamics of the gangs is more structured up under, you don't have much of a choice because of the color?
That's only at war in prison.
Right.
Because like I know, in prison, when it comes to Bloods and Crips, it's no structure.
Right. Most definitely.
There's no structure with Bloods and Crips in prison. Only people got structures, G's and Vice Lords.
Right.
You feel me? So
that's on the state level though. We'll get into a federal level on a later day because I've been to federal prison, but on the state level, I agree with you 100%.
I can't speak on federal prison.
Right.
Time. But like in prison, I can get into it. We'll say the rivalry is a Crip, and he can be, let's say he's Athens. My homeboy's Athens.
Athens Park Bloods, to be specific.
Athens Park Bloods.
Right.
He can be like, I ain't got nothing to do with that because he PIRU.
Right.
That's what they done dumbed it down to. You feel me? So it's no structure.
Right.
But if it's wartime, that same person said that he has no choice but to rivalry.
The PIRUs and Bloods are obligated to come together.
You have no choice because nobody's running around and ask you, are you PIRU or are you Blood? They just finna stick you. Just like if we get into it with the Crips, we're gonna stick the Crips. We're not gonna ask you, are you neighborhood or are you Hoover or are you Trey or are you a Crip, nigga? You a Crip. Same way with us. You're a blood. You're a blood. You feel me? You PIRU. Like,
so let me ask you something real quick. We've been sticking a lot to the blood fracture of like the Nashville gang culture. But if I had to ask you, you don't got to give one, but just out of curiosity, if you had to give a roll call of the opposition, which would be the Crip gang specifically, that you have a certain level of respect for, like people, like names that just come to you, not even necessarily names, sets, neighborhoods, particular areas geographically located in Nashville that you would say, man, these dudes are the real deal because they predate the Bloods.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Who would you particularly say?
The hardest Crip sets in Nashville at that time?
I want to take a wild guess before you say something because I'm not from Nashville, but just based on stories, I heard Dodge City was a hell of a spot to be in.
But yeah, most definitely.
Now I'm gonna let you take over.
Most definitely, Dodge City, in my opinion, it's the hardest crip set in Nashville.
Same thing I heard.
All because they stick together,
Right.
and they don't play no games. You gotta respect them.
Right.
You gotta respect them, but it's a whole lot of Crips. You got the 40s, which was across the street from Salem Town.
Mm-hmm.
They hard. They ain't playing. You got the 40s. You also got the 60s. The 60s ain't playing. You got the Mafias. Like you can't just say which one was doing which because everybody had their times.
Right.
You feel me? Just
I mean, because the Bloods is your gang, so
yeah.
you gonna everybody in their own particular fraction of their gang gonna feel like they was the biggest, the baddest. I don't care what nobody say, which is understandable. But you still hold a level of respect for your opposition.
Well, me, I respect all.
Right.
I don't give a damn what gang you is. I'm gonna respect you as a man first. Why I got along with so many Crips and G's.
Right.
Why I was allowed in any Crip or G neighborhood. At one point in time, I was the only Blood that can walk through Dodge City.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I was meaning to get into that, but because you brought it up, I heard you could pull up in Dodge City alone.
Yeah.
Solo, without backup.
Dressed up like Santa Claus.
And you would get the same respect as they big homies would.
Yeah, because I fuck with them guys over there. And then one of my best friends, he's from over there. You feel me? So, I fuck with them dudes. A lot of my guys, a lot of Bloods don't fuck with them. You feel me? But, everybody got a different relationship with their people. Right. I feel like the earth is my turf. I can go anywhere. I was welcome out south. I was welcome out east. I was welcome in Dodge City. I'm out north. I go anywhere. I'm by myself.
Well, let's get into something else real quick because we talked about your early life in the streets. We talked about your early introduction into gang life. And we also highlighted on your highlights of the gang life because I don't care what nobody say, because although I've heard good and bad on OG Killa name, it don't take away from the fact that you can't mention the Nashville underworld. You can't mention gang life. You can't mention the streets without saying OG Killa. No matter what area of Nashville you're talking about, OG Killa name is brought up, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So, now that we have came to a clear conclusion that OG Killa is a prominent name in the Nashville streets, it's a series of questions that I have for you. We're going to get into your evolution because you became a better person. You became a better father. You became a better man. But before we get into that, it's a question that I want to ask you, and I want you to take your time in answering it before you give me the specifics on it. How do you feel like OG Killa will be remembered in the streets? Or it's just Nashville in general? How do you feel like that name, even after, you pass on later on down, how do you feel like OG Killa name will be taken throughout history of Nashville?
I feel like they gonna be like he was one of the first Bloods. He went hard. He was a gangster. Nothing good, in my opinion.
As far as OG Killa goes.
As far as OG Killa goes. Right. Yeah, nothing good in my opinion. Yeah, did we glorify that lifestyle at one point in time? Yeah, but that's what I'll be remembered for. He was one of the first Bloods out here. He used to go hard. He was getting money. He was doing this. He was doing that. Yeah, that's what they'll say.
Now, I introduced you when I first came on this interview as OG Killa due to lack of better terminology and for what your name is more prominently known as. But today you're a father. You're a man. You're a business owner. Are you OG Killa or are you Bradford? I kind of figured that'd take you off. That'd come out of left field right there.
so this is the thing, a name is a name. I go by OG. I go by Brad.
Because you are in the original Gangsta, even outside of everything you got going on.
Most definitely. I go by Killa. It all depends on who's speaking to me. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So, but I'm a changed person regardless. Right. Just because my name is this don't mean that I still act like this.
But that's what I'm curious of. What did you take from the streets? Or not even just necessarily the streets. What did you take from your upbringing, early gang life, and the height of your gang life that you were able to apply into your ultimate evolution today? Because today you aren't PIRU. Not saying that you're not a gang. Let me rephrase that. We are who we are.
Most definitely.
Because even though that I'm in a different particular area in life than I was 10, 20 years ago, I never renounced my membership with the gang. So technically, you can consider me a Piru because I never said I'm not Piru.
Yeah, I'm going to die Piru. I'm always Piru.
Right. But you are a man, though.
Yeah, but I'm still a man, though.
So what did you take from that particular life that you actually applied? I mean, like real life applied and published into who you are now?
Well,
as far as outside of that life.
Well, for an example, for it's hustling. I cut grass.
Exactly.
So I look at it like hustling.
You're a business owner.
I'm a business owner. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept. Sell as much as I can, make as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the grass. Cut as much as I can, fast as I can. Same.
Because they're playing to a part of your early life that I didn't want to particularly get into because, you know, we don't know what the statute of limitations are on certain things. Exactly. And I ain't going to do that to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you took a part of your former life and the former life that you lived on a day-to-day basis and applied it into your ultimate manhood.
Oh, yeah. And then, you know, prison had a whole lot to do with it, too. Sitting down, you know, and I did 10 years.
What did prison do to you?
It changed your whole mindset. Prison will grow you up. I grew up in prison.
It will.
I said I was a man out here before I went, but I can honestly say that I wasn't. I was out here bullshitting.
Right.
Prison will grow you up. Prison will make you appreciate small things. Like sitting right here having this conversation with you is appreciated. Looking at that Christmas
it's a privilege.
Tree, it's appreciated because that can easily be taken away. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So prison grew me up a whole lot. Prison taught me how to read people. Prison taught me how to sit back and listen. Prison taught me don't trust nobody.
It gave you a different aspect of the game.
Prison taught me that me and you can be eating right here together and you can stab me 5 minutes later.
And just to put emphasis on the things that I'm talking about right now, me and this dude actually, ironically, this is very ironic. We went to prison on the same day. This is a street legend right here. At this particular time, I wasn't. I was just a guy. I was in a gang. I did gang things. But this is an original gang member. And this is me. Man, this dude went to prison on the same day. It's very ironic. I heard this dude name 3 years before I ever met him. Which is very, it's meaningful. Because before I ever seen his face or ever met him, he was a legend to me. And you know, I'm not for sure how I'm able to word it, but it's hard to explain your feeling of seeing a legend after hearing them. It's different when you're talking about a basketball player because you see them on TV. So you have an idea of how to conduct yourself once you know who you're looking. You know who you're looking for. I never knew what this guy looked like. I just heard his name, OG Killa. OG Killa this, OG Killa that. And then I meet OG Killa. And you know what the first thing popped in my head when I met OG Killa? I could whoop this nigga. Nah, nah, just bullshit. Nah, but when I met OG Killa, I'm gonna be honest, he wasn't the guy I expected him to be, but he turned out to be everything that I heard that he was. Which is ironic and it's also rare because the streets will make you look 7 feet tall. You know, especially when you got a name as prominent as, just think about the name. Yeah. This dude's name is Killa. OG. He's an original gangster with the tag ending of it as Killa. Like, that's meaningful. And then not only that, he didn't give himself that name. It's different if you call yourself a Big Dog Knockout. I gave myself that name. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't give himself that tag. The streets did. So if he put himself in a position where people around him came to the conclusion that this is the title that's entitled to this particular person, you know, like that's a testament in its own history. You know? Now, we covered the early life. We covered the early gang banging. We covered your height. We covered your evolution. So now I have a question. Today, on this particular day, what do you take away from everything that you went through? And as far as the things that you are particularly involved in now. Because I want to ask you about your activity in the game. Because I ain't Vlad. You know, I'm not going to ask you things that could possibly come up later. To be honest, I don't even want to know that. Me and you got a relationship, so I don't even want to know that. But I want to know, what are your biggest regrets, and what did you particularly take away from your history that was able to not only advance you, but was able to put you in a position of success as far as your business life that you have today?
Well, like I said, prison changed a man. And I feel like for the man that I am today, it had a lot to do with trial and error, being crossed out, going through it, and just really waking up, seeing people for who they really is. And this the thing about the game, like, bro, we give our all to it, but it don't give us nothing back. Mm-hmm. It don't give us nothing back. The only thing you get in return is your homeboys stabbing you in your back. Mm-hmm. Everybody cross you out or you get killed. So, I got some regrets? Yeah, but not really, because what I've been through is what made me.
Right.
You feel me? What I've been through,
the person that you are today.
It shaped me to who I am today. Mm-hmm. You feel me? I'm more wiser. I think more. I think before I act. You feel me? I know I can't do this. Why? Because I gotta be out here to raise this baby and be out here for my wife.
Right.
You feel me? See, back then we were just doing shit reckless. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So yeah. So I had to switch it up. I can't go back to prison. Mm-hmm. I can't. 30 days will kill me right now. You feel
kill me too?
30 days will kill me right now. You feel me? I
can't go back to kill me.
So that's the reason. That's the reason why I choose not to gangbang,
right,
sell drugs, mm-hmm, or do anything illegal, because my name is already stamped in these Nashville streets.
Right.
I'm OG Killa. I ain't never snitched on nobody.
Right.
And you never heard no gay room on me. Mm-hmm. My name is legendary. I done did it all. You name it, I done it. Mm-hmm. How much money you had, I had it too.
Right.
You fucked her, I fucked her too.
I almost asked you about that Monte Carlo that you had. We're gonna talk about that later on.
but yeah, though, so like it ain't. So I feel like me at 41, it's time to get out the way. It's them young dudes' turn. Mm-hmm. We used to be them young dudes,
right?
And we used to be like, why your old ass still on the block? Man, you in the way. Right now, if I was to do that, I would be in their way. I'm that old dude now.
Right.
You feel me? So, and then it'll be dumb, because I feel like right now, at my age, for me to sell dope, I got to be volunteering that I'm going to snitch. Why? Because I'm not going back to prison.
Exactly.
I'm 41 years old. They're not going to give me no small sentence. So, if you're my age...
Especially with your rap sheet.
With a rap sheet like mine, with a name like mine, it ain't even the rap sheet. I only got one charge in my life. Mm-hmm.
But you OG Killa.
Exactly. If you got a name like mine and you done been through it, and you know when they get you, you're going to do at least another 10 years, you will be dumb to come out here and do something foolish to send you back. You feel me?
Right.
Because you go either volunteer to snitch, or you finna go do the rest of your life in prison. Who wants to do their life in prison when they already done been there?
Most definitely.
So that's how I look at people. That's my age, hustling, done been to prison. I think they the clown with the big red nose. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion. You feel me? I can't do it. I get out here and pick up trash before I go back in there, because you go in there and cut grass for 17 cents.
So is.
Yeah, I make about $2,500 a week cutting grass.
Come on now.
You feel me? Free.
We'll check this out, Killa. First of all, I want to say I appreciate your testimony. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be able to explore and dive into your story, and to be able to put you and myself in the position to help those that either have been in your position or are wondering to want to dive into your position. And I want to thank you for being able to sit down with me today and talk to me about that today. And before we wrap this thing up, I do want to ask you, do you have any shout outs or any names or anybody you want to, show love to, or even for yourself or your business or anything? Because you laid a lot on me today, you know what I'm saying? And, I got a fair amount of knowledge of your story and the story of the homeboy. Because if anybody who's not familiar, I am a Skyline PIRU. We all have the same set. I've been involved, but the homie really kind of cleared a lot of things up for me in this interview as well. And I do want to ask if you have any shout outs or anybody, not even of your gang, but just like people like generally that you respect, show love to, or business, whatever you got that you want to, show love to at this particular time.
Man, I just want to shout out to the motherfuckers that's getting out here doing the right thing.
Come on
that's
now.
Being fathers to their kids, husbands to their wives, You feel me? Trying to lead by the example. Yeah, them the people I want to give a shout out to. Them the people that motivate me. My homeboy Big Freeze doing good things.
Man, shouts out to Big Freeze,
My
man. You know I know.
Ray out here. Free
Hey,
Ray out here free. Ain't no more free Ray. Ray free.
Before we wrap this up, I want to say something about Big Freeze. This has to be on camera. I'm adding this in the interview. This has to be in there. I went to prison June 2010, around the same time you did. We both went to prison together. When I walked through the salad gate, I looked on the weight pile and I seen about 4 dudes lifting weights. I seen Big Fridge. Before I knew he was Big Fridge, I seen that big motherfucker out there lifting weights. And the first thing popped in my head is, I hope I don't ever get into it with that nigga.
Found out that's my best friend.
Found out that's the homeboy best friend. He the coolest dude you ever want to meet. But that's the first thought popped in my mind is, I hope me and this particular person don't ever have an altercation. Man, this motherfucker's huge.
See, we're going to have to do a part 2. It's a whole lot he didn't get to touch on. He didn't get to touch on the Black Cherry situation. He didn't get to touch
I'm bringing you back, homie. We got to have a follow-up interview. It's a whole lot we ain't talking about.
We press for time.
Limited time, press for time. You know, we gonna get it together. But before we end this, though, I do want to give a special. When I say special, I mean special shout out to Kev Mac Videos. Kev Mac is a Roller 60 Crip out of South Central Los Angeles. Man, this dude is humble. This dude responded to me. He talked to me. I reached out to this brother, man. This brother, he got a real big platform on YouTube, man. Go check out his videos and his interviews. His name, Kev Mac Videos. This dude interviewed the original members, the original founders of the Crips and the Bloods. And I reached out to this brother and I talked to this brother. This brother gave me advice. This brother talked to me. He wasn't Hollywood or none of that. And I want to give a special shout out to him because he really helped me on this journey of starting this podcast and start thing I was trying to do. And I just want to show love to that brother and tell anybody who follow me in this podcast to go check out that brother interviews, man. He a real dude, Rolling 60 Crip. Although we PIRU, you know, man, we shout out to the Crips, man. It's all about unity now. It's all about love. It's all about bonding and camaraderie. So, man, shout out to Kev Mac Videos, man. I just really want to put that out there. So, any more shout outs you want to do, man? You know, we can wrap this thing up, big homie.
No, man, shout out to the wife. Shout out to the
Man,
kids.
man,
Shout out to
now,
mama.
Man. Come on now,
You
man. Fatherhood,
feel
man.
me?
It's all,
Yeah,
that's what
man.
it's about.
That's
Manhood
it.
and fatherhood, man.
That's
Give it
it,
back
man.
to the
Shout out
next
to the
generation.
family, man. That's it, man.
Man, look, homie,
My
bro, I appreciate
homeboy
you.
Camel. You feel me? The family, man.
Come on now.
I'm surrounded by family. No new friends.
Well, man, look, homie, I appreciate you coming out, man, rocking with me, bro, showing me love, giving me energy, homie. Man, we gonna wrap this thing up, man. I was just gonna tell everybody, stay tuned. We got more interviews coming up, man. I appreciate everybody rocking with Sophisticated Gangsta. Man, we gonna keep this thing going, man. Fuck with me.